It started with a coin. Not an ordinary one, not the kind you toss in a fountain or slide into a vending machine. This coin had weight, not just in metal, but in memory. When I first held it, I could swear it pulsed faintly, like something inside was alive, waiting. Its surface shimmered with symbols too faint to read, lines that seemed to move if you stared too long. And though I had no reason to believe it, I felt it was watching me. I found it in the old market at dusk, buried beneath a pile of rusted metals and forgotten relics. The seller was a silent old man with clouded eyes, his fingers trembling as he brushed the dust away. "This one," he said in a voice barely above a whisper, "wasn't meant to be here." I laughed, but when I tried to pay him, he pushed the money back. "If you take it," he murmured, "you already owe it something." That night, I couldn't sleep. I left the coin on my desk, but every time I turned my head, the faintest metallic hum reached my ears, a vibration too steady to be imagination. At one point, I thought I heard a whisper, soft and broken, as if metal itself had learned to breathe. The next morning, the coin had changed. The symbols on its edge were sharper, now forming a pattern like concentric circles with a missing center. And the date was impossible. It read 225 BC. I knew the kingdom stamped on its back didn't even exist then. I took it to a collector downtown, a man who'd spent his life surrounded by coins from every empire, every century. But when he held mine, his hand shook. He studied it for a long time, then asked, quietly, "Where did you get this?" I told him the truth. He looked at me for a long moment, then said, "You should leave it where you found it." I asked why. He didn't answer, just slid it back across the table, refusing to touch it again. That night, the whispering returned. This time, it wasn't faint. It was a voice, distant, echoing, like someone calling through water. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew they weren't English. They were older than any language I'd ever heard. I pressed the coin against my palm and felt a pulse, slow, deliberate, matching my heartbeat until I couldn't tell which was which. I was standing in a field of stone pillars, endless and broken, stretching into the fog. In the center stood a massive figure carved from rock, faceless, towering, its hands outstretched. Something gleamed between its fingers. My coin. When I reached for it, the figure's head turned and I woke up, gasping, my hand still clenched around cold metal. In the morning, my palm was marked. A faint circle burned into the skin, same shape as the missing center of the coin's pattern. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, dreams, coincidences, nothing more. But when I checked the coin again, the mark was there too, now glowing faintly, the same circular void. By the third night, I'd stopped sleeping altogether. The voice had changed, no longer a whisper, but a steady chant. Rhythmic, almost ritualistic. I recorded it once, hoping to prove I wasn't losing my mind. But when I played it back, there was nothing. Just silence, except at the very end, a sound so low I almost missed it. It was a single breath. Mine, and then came the message. A small brown envelope slipped under my door in the middle of the night. No stamp, no name. Inside, a single photograph. A black and white image of a man holding the same coin, standing beside an ancient temple, half swallowed by jungle. On the back, written in uneven ink, I left the city the next morning, carrying nothing but the coin, the photograph, and a sense of dread I couldn't shake. The temple in the picture wasn't hard to find. It lay deep in the northern jungles, beyond the reach of most maps, a forgotten ruin swallowed by time. Locals refused to speak about it. When I showed them the image, they turned away, muttering words that sounded like prayers. One man, drunk enough to be brave, whispered, "That place doesn't stay where you leave it." The journey was long, days of dense forest and endless humidity. Each night I'd hear the same hum from the coin, faint but persistent, like it was guiding me or warning me. Sometimes I'd catch glimpses of movement in the trees, shapes that vanished when I turned my head. On the fifth day, I found it. The temple stood half-sunken into the earth, roots and vines strangling its walls. Carvings covered every surface, circles, eyes, hands, all centered on a single missing shape, the same pattern as the mark on my palm. As I stepped closer, the air grew colder, the jungle sounds fading into absolute silence inside. The floor was littered with offerings long decayed, statues, burned candles, fragments of metal coins identical to mine. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all cracked down the middle, and at the center of the chamber, a stone pedestal waited, its surface etched with symbols that pulsed faintly when I approached. The coin grew warm in my pocket. I placed it on the pedestal. The air shifted. A low vibration rolled through the floor, and a voice, the same voice from my dreams, filled the chamber, speaking in that ancient, broken tongue. I couldn't understand it, but I could feel what it meant. A summons, a warning, a memory. The walls shimmered, and suddenly I wasn't in the temple anymore. I was standing in another time. The jungle was gone, replaced by towering stone structures, fires burning in massive bowls, and people in robes chanting beneath a blood-red sky. They held coins, thousands of them, raising them toward a figure cloaked in shadow at the altar's heart. The figure spoke, and one by one, the coins began to melt, their light drawn into his hands, and then I saw his face. It was mine. The vision shattered. I fell to the ground, gasping, back in the ruins. The coin on the pedestal glowed white-hot, the surface twisting and changing, revealing new words etched in impossible precision. Return what was taken, but I hadn't taken anything. That night, I camped outside the temple, too afraid to go back in. The dreams didn't wait for sleep. They came like waves, crashing through my mind. Faces I didn't know. Voices calling my name, though I'd never told them what it was. And always the same whisper, "You're not the first." In the morning, the mark on my palm had spread, thin veins of light stretching up my arm, faintly pulsing like living circuitry. Wherever I went, the jungle bent around me, trees tilting slightly, insects falling silent, even the wind pausing as if the world itself was watching. I decided to head back. But every trail I took led me in circles. The sun refused to move. It was as if the jungle had trapped me inside a loop of its own making. That was when I saw her, a woman, standing among the trees, dressed in white, her eyes covered by a strip of cloth. She said nothing, but when she raised her hand, I saw the same mark on her palm, only hers glowed brighter. Without a word, she turned and began to walk deeper into the forest. I followed, though every instinct screamed not to. After hours, or maybe minutes, we arrived at a clearing. In its center stood a mirror of water so still it reflected the sky perfectly. The woman stopped at its edge and whispered, "You opened the door." I asked who she was. She smiled, though it wasn't joy I saw in that smile. The one who closed it last time. She placed her hand over mine, the two glowing marks merging into a blinding light. "This coin," she said, "was made to hold what shouldn't exist. Memory without time, life without death. It doesn't belong here." It never did. Before I could ask anything else, she pushed the coin back into my hand. "Now it remembers you." When I looked down, she was gone. Today, experts estimate that if a coin like this were ever found intact, one that still carries the unbroken symbols and the untouched core, it could be worth more than $2.5 million on the collector's market. What makes it even rarer is its composition, traces of pure gold fused with an ancient alloy, a mixture no modern process has been able to recreate. Of pure gold, untouched by time,